The rain fell like whispered warnings across Gangnam's neon-soaked streets. Seo Kangjin stood too close to a woman he didn't know, his breath catching as she removed her helmet. Sharp eyes. Elegant features frozen in controlled amusement. She said nothing. He couldn't look away. Behind him, 3 men in black suits watched from a parked sedan, hands resting near concealed weapons. Across the street, another car's headlights flickered twice. A signal. Something about her posture shifted. Subtle, dangerous. She knew they were there. She had always known. And still she let him stand this close. That should have terrified him. But Seo Kangjin only smiled wider, unaware that one reckless flirtation had already placed him inside a world ruled by silence, blood loyalty, and a woman powerful enough to destroy entire empires without raising her voice. What began as attraction would soon become obsession. And before this night ended, he would learn that some women are not meant to be chased. They are meant to be feared. Please like, share and subscribe. The engine of her Ducati clicked as it cooled, the only sound between them besides rain tapping against leather. You always stare this long at strangers? She asked. Her voice carried a strange weight. Soft but layered with something he couldn't name. An accent threaded through perfect Korean. Somewhere African, maybe West African, wrapped around syllables like smoke. Kangjin smiled. The kind of smile that had gotten him into trouble 100 times before. Only the ones who ride motorcycles at 2 in the morning looking like they own the city. She tilted her head slightly, studying him. Maybe I do. He laughed. It was the wrong response. Something flickered in her dark eyes. Not offense, not amusement. Something deeper. Colder. As if she had just catalogued him somewhere inside her mind. The rain intensified. Behind them, a man in a tailored coat stepped out of the parked sedan. His hand touched his earpiece. His gaze locked onto the woman beside the motorcycle. He didn't approach. He waited. Kangjin noticed none of this. His attention remained fixed on her face, her jawline, the way raindrops gathered on her shoulders without her acknowledging them. I'm Kangjin, he said. I know. His smile faltered. You know. She pulled black gloves from her jacket slowly. Deliberately. Each movement precise, unhurried. Seo Kangjin. Heir to the Seo Myong Consortium. Nightlife investor. Known for expensive mistakes and temporary women. She glanced up. Should I continue? His heart stuttered. Not from fear, something else. No one had ever spoken to him like this. No one had ever looked at him without wanting something obvious. And you? He asked quietly. She slid the gloves into her jacket. Someone you shouldn't be talking to. The man near the sedan took a single step forward. Another man emerged from a second vehicle across the street. Both remained silent, watching, positioned like shadows waiting for permission. Kangjin still didn't notice them. His world had narrowed to her face, her silence, the dangerous calm radiating from her skin. Then why haven't you left? He asked. The question surprised even him. Her lips curved barely. Not quite a smile. Something closer to a test. Because you interest me. That a good thing? She didn't answer immediately. The rain fell harder. No, she finally said. It isn't. Before he could respond, she swung her leg over the motorcycle in one fluid motion. Her helmet descended over her features, concealing the sharp elegance he had already memorized. The engine roared to life beneath her. Wait. He reached for her arm without thinking. A reckless impulse. A mistake. He went completely still. Behind him, the men in suits moved forward instantly. Hands reaching inside jackets. Eyes locked onto his hand touching her sleeve. The world seemed to freeze. She raised one finger. Just one. They stopped. Kangjin's pulse pounded against his throat. He still didn't fully understand what was happening around him. But something in his body knew. Primitive survival instincts screaming beneath his confident exterior. You should let go, she said softly. Her voice wasn't threatening. It was almost gentle. That made it worse. His fingers released her sleeve slowly. He stepped back. She watched him through her visor for a long moment. The engine vibrated between her thighs, ready to carry her into the darkness. Will I see you again? He asked. The question came out vulnerable. Raw. He hated how much he meant it. She revved the engine once. If you're lucky, she said. You won't. The Ducati screamed forward, slicing through rain and neon reflections like a blade through silk. Her figure vanished around a corner, swallowed by Seoul's endless night. Kang Jin stood motionless. His chest ached with something foreign. Obsession? Curiosity? Fear disguised as attraction? He didn't know. Behind him, the men in suits retreated silently into their vehicles. Doors closed without sound. Engines purred awake. One of them made a call. "She's clear." The target approached her directly. "Pause." "No." She handled it. "We didn't need to intervene." The voice on the other end was deep, heavily accented. "Nigerian." "And the man?" "Seo Kang-jin, son of Seo Myung-ho." A longer pause. "Interesting. Keep watching. Don't let her know." The call ended. The sedan pulled away slowly, headlights cutting through rain. Kang Jin remained on that empty street for another 5 minutes, staring at the place where her motorcycle had been. His designer jacket soaked through. His hands shaking slightly. He told himself it was the cold. He knew it wasn't. 3 weeks earlier. Tokyo. A penthouse overlooking Shibuya's crossing glittered with Seoul's elite and Tokyo's underground royalty. Champagne worth more than most salaries flowed freely. Beautiful women in designer gowns circulated like art installations. Kang Jin stood near the floor-to-ceiling windows, bored. He was always bored. Wealth had purchased everything except meaning. Power had opened every door except the ones he actually wanted unlocked. His father's voice echoed in his mind. "You waste your potential on meaningless distractions." Perhaps. But meaning felt like a myth sold to people without options. "Mr. Seo?" A woman in a red dress approached. Perfect makeup. Calculated smile. "The host wishes to introduce you to some investors." Kang Jin turned his glass in his hand. "Tell them I'm busy." "Busy doing what, sir?" He looked at her. "Figuring out why I came." Her smile faltered. Professional confusion flickered across her features before she composed herself. "Of course, sir." She retreated. Kang Jin returned his attention to the window. Below, thousands of people crossed the famous intersection, moving in synchronized chaos. None of them knew who he was. He envied them. Hours later, the party emptied. Kang Jin found himself in a private elevator descending toward the parking garage. His driver waited near a black Maybach, door already open. "Home, sir." "No." "Drive." "Where, sir?" "Anywhere." The driver nodded. He was paid not to ask questions. They drove through Tokyo's silent streets for hours. Past izakayas glowing with warm light. Past ramen shops with late-night customers. Past love hotels with their neon promises. Kang Jin watched it all through tinted glass, feeling like a ghost observing life through a barrier. Eventually they reached the waterfront. He told the driver to wait. The air smelled like salt and diesel. Ships rocked gently against the harbor. Somewhere distant, a crane moved containers in rhythmic mechanical patterns. Kang Jin walked along the empty dock, hands in his pockets. His phone buzzed. A text from his father. "Return to Seoul by Friday." Board meeting. Non-negotiable. He deleted it without responding. Near the water's edge he stopped. Lit a cigarette he didn't actually want. Watched smoke curl upward toward stars hidden by city light. A ship's horn sounded across the harbor. Lonely. Mournful. It matched something inside him perfectly. Present day. Seoul. 3 days after the encounter with the mysterious biker, Kang Jin still couldn't stop thinking about her. Her voice replayed in his mind. Her words. The way she'd known exactly who he was without introduction. He'd asked his assistant to investigate quietly. A woman on a black Ducati? Gangnam. Around 2 a.m. last Tuesday. His assistant found nothing. No traffic cameras caught clear footage. No parking records. No witnesses who remembered anything useful. She was a ghost. That should have made him forget her. Instead it made him obsessed. "You're distracted." His business partner, Kwon Ji-hoon, observed him across a mahogany conference table. They were supposed to be reviewing contracts for a new club acquisition. "I'm fine." "You've read the same page 4 times." Kang Jin set the document down. "Close the deal." "I trust your judgment." Ji-hoon's eyebrows rose. "Since when?" "Since now." He stood, straightening his jacket. "I have somewhere to be." "Where?" Kang Jin didn't answer. He left the conference room, his footsteps echoing against marble floors. Ji-hoon watched him go with narrowed eyes. Something had changed. He didn't know what. But he intended to find out. Kang Jin's search became methodical. He revisited the street where they'd met. Spoke to nightclub owners. Bribed parking attendants. Showed vague descriptions to bartenders who served the late-night motorcycle crowd. Nothing. No one had seen her. No one knew her. No one had even heard rumors. It was as if she existed outside Seoul's social networks entirely. By the 5th day he began questioning whether she'd been real at all. A fever dream born from loneliness and rain. But his memory of her face was too sharp. Too detailed. Those eyes. That voice. The way she'd raised one finger and armed men had frozen. He was real. And he would find her. What Kang Jin didn't know, couldn't know, was that she had been watching him. Surveillance footage from his own building. Traffic cameras he assumed only police accessed. Private security systems he believed were under his control. All compromised. All feeding information to a secured server in an underground facility beneath a legitimate shipping warehouse in Incheon. On a screen, Kang Jin's face appeared in crisp detail as he entered his penthouse elevator. Zara Okafor watched in silence. Her finger traced the edge of her glass. Whiskey neat. While subordinates waited for instructions behind her. "He's looking for me," she observed. Her voice carried no emotion. "Should we discourage him?" asked a man built like a weapon. Zara considered the question. On screen, Kang Jin ran a hand through his hair. Frustrated. Tired. Still impossibly handsome in ways that annoyed her. "No," she said finally. "Ma'am. Let him search." She took a slow sip of whiskey. "I want to see how far he'll go." The man behind her shifted uncomfortably. He had served Zara for 6 years. Had watched her dismantle rivals without raising her voice. Had seen grown men weep at her silence. He had never seen her interested in anyone. Till now. That terrified him. The warehouse facility hummed with controlled activity. Monitors displayed shipping routes. Inventory logs. Communication intercepts from 3 different intelligence agencies. Zara ran one of Asia's most powerful criminal operations without ever appearing in a single law enforcement database. Her father had built the foundation. She had transformed it into an empire. The Black Viper wasn't just a nickname. It was a legend whispered in boardrooms and back alleys across 4 continents. No one saw her coming. Everyone felt her after she struck. Now, watching this reckless billionaire's son stumble around Seoul searching for a woman who could destroy him with a phone call, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Curiosity. Dangerous, unwise curiosity. "Send his file to my quarters," she said. The full file. Everything. Family. Business. Relationships. Psychological profiles. Everything. She stood, her movement fluid despite exhaustion. The silk of her blouse whispered against her skin as she turned toward her private elevator. And increase security around the Gangnam operations. If he keeps looking, someone else might notice. Understood. The elevator doors parted. She stepped inside alone. The doors closed with a soft hiss, sealing her away from subordinates who would die for her but never truly know her. In the elevator's reflective walls, she studied her own face. Sharp eyes. Elegant features. Controlled expressions. A mask she'd worn so long she sometimes forgot what existed beneath it. Her private quarters occupied the warehouse's uppermost floor, a space transformed into understated luxury. Nigerian art adorned walls beside Korean minimalism. Books lined shelves in 4 languages. No photographs. No evidence of personal connections. Love was weakness. Her father's death had proven that. He poured herself another whiskey. Stood near a window overlooking the port's midnight operations. Container ships moved like sleeping giants. Cranes operated in perfect mechanical rhythm. Her empire breathed beneath the surface of legitimate commerce. He had everything. Control. Power. Respect purchased through fear. Everything except peace. Her phone buzzed. A secure line. Only 3 people had this number. She answered without greeting. "There's movement from the Park faction." The voice belonged to Young Soo-min, her head of intelligence. Professional. Korean-born, trained in European intelligence services before Zara recruited him. What kind of movement? They're testing boundaries. 2 shipments redirected without authorization. Small amounts. Feeling for weakness. Zara's jaw tightened imperceptibly. Park Doong. A subordinate who had grown ambitious. Have we responded? Not yet. Waiting for your instruction. She considered options. Political implications. Timing. Invite him to dinner, she said. Dinner. The restaurant in Cheongdam. Friday evening. Private room. Pause. Understood. The call ended. Zara's reflection stared back from the darkened window. Park Dae-young thought she didn't notice his ambition. Thought her absence from daily operations meant she wasn't watching. He would learn otherwise. They always did. She moved to her desk where Seo Kong-jin's file now waited on her tablet. Photographs. Financial records. Surveillance summaries. He scrolled slowly. His face appeared again and again. Parties. Business meetings. Women he'd dated briefly. Always smiling. Always surrounded. Always alone. She recognized the loneliness in his eyes because she saw it in her own every morning. That recognition disturbed her more than any threat from ambitious subordinates. 2 days later. Friday evening. The restaurant in Cheongdam-dong dripped with exclusivity. No visible signage. Entrance through an unmarked door beside a luxury boutique. Only 20 seats inside. Park Dae-young arrived early, sweating despite the air conditioning. He was 53. Korean. Had served Zara's father before her. He resented taking orders from a woman 20 years younger, regardless of her competence. The private room featured a single table. Traditional Korean dishes prepared by a chef who asked no questions and heard nothing. He waited. At exactly 8 p.m. the door opened. Zara entered alone. She wore black, a tailored dress that cost more than most people earned in months. Her only jewelry was a simple gold bracelet. Her father's. The only piece she kept. Dae-young. Her voice was soft. Pleasant. Anyone listening would hear nothing threatening. That was the point. Ms. Okafor. He stood, bowing slightly. Thank you for this honor. Sit. He sat. She took the seat across from him. The table was intimate. Close enough to see every micro-expression. Every nervous swallow. The yellowtail here is excellent, she said, pouring tea. Have you tried it? No, ma'am. You should. Servants appeared silently, placing dishes between them. The choreography was perfect. Nothing spilled. No eye contact made. Zara ate slowly. Delicately. As if they were simply 2 colleagues enjoying dinner. Park Dae-young barely touched his food. His chopsticks trembled slightly when he reached for rice. You've been busy, she observed. Business has been active. Yes. Redirecting shipments. Adjusting routes. Very active. His face paled. I can explain. Can you? She set down her chopsticks. Folded her hands on the table. Looked directly into his eyes. The room temperature seemed to drop. You've served my organization for 18 years, she continued. You knew my father. You watched me grow from a child into what I am now. He said nothing. I respected that loyalty. Honored it. Gave you territories that others would kill for. Her voice remained perfectly calm. And this is how you repay me? Ms. Okafor, please. I'm not angry, Dae-young. She picked up her tea. I'm disappointed. His hands clutched the table edge. What happens now? He whispered. She sipped tea slowly. That depends entirely on you. I'll return everything. Double the redirected amounts. Whatever you want. I don't want your money. She set down the cup with a soft click. I want to understand why. Why risk everything? Why now? He was silent for a long moment. Because I don't believe a woman should lead us, he finally admitted. His voice cracked with suppressed resentment. Your father built this empire with blood and sacrifice. And you ride motorcycles at night like a child playing games. Zara's expression didn't change. But something behind her eyes shifted. Cold recognition. She had expected this. You think I play games, she repeated softly. I think. You think because I don't rule through violence I am weak. He said nothing. She leaned forward slightly. Your son. 24 years old. Works at a tech company in Pangeo. Lives alone. Orders delivery every Thursday night from the same restaurant. Takes the same route to work every morning. Park Dae-young's face went gray. Your daughter. Young. 21. Studies design at Hongik University. Has a boyfriend named Lee who doesn't know what her father does. Takes the subway home every evening at 7:42. Please. Your wife visits her mother in Busan every third weekend. Zara sat back. I don't need violence, Dae-young. I have information. Patience. And absolute certainty that you love your children more than you hate taking orders from a woman. Tears gathered in his eyes. What do you want from me? Continue your work. Serve well. Forget your ambitions. She stood. And if I ever sense disloyalty again, even a whisper, I won't kill you. She buttoned her jacket. I'll let you live long enough to watch everything you love disappear. She walked toward the door. Stopped. The yellowtail really is excellent. Finish your meal. The door closed behind her. Outside, her driver waited with the car door open. She slid inside without expression. The vehicle pulled smoothly into traffic. Only when they were 3 blocks away did she allow herself to exhale. Her hands trembled slightly. He hated this. Every moment of it. The manipulation. The threats. The loneliness of being feared by everyone who should have been loyal. But this was survival. This was the empire her father died for. This was everything. Her phone buzzed. A surveillance update. Seo Kong-jin had visited another nightclub, asking questions about mysterious biker women. She almost smiled. Almost. His persistence should have annoyed her. Should have prompted elimination protocols. Should have been handled with the same cold efficiency she applied to every potential threat. Instead, she found herself checking his location. Watching footage of him moving through crowds, handsome and reckless and entirely unaware of the danger surrounding him. He was playing with fire. The fire was her. And despite every instinct screaming warnings, she wanted to see what would happen when he finally found what he was searching for. Later that night. A jazz club in Itaewon. Small. Intimate. Known for attracting creatives and foreigners and people who wanted to disappear into music. Kong-jin sat alone at the bar. Bourbon in hand. The singer on stage crooned standards in a voice like honey and smoke. He wasn't listening. His thoughts circled endlessly around the same memory. Rain. Yeah. A voice that commanded without demanding. You're thinking too loudly. He turned. She stood beside him. Same face. Same sharp eyes. Same controlled elegance. His glass nearly slipped from his fingers. Are you going to stare again? She claimed the stool beside him without asking. Or have you progressed past that? The bartender approached. She ordered whiskey without looking at him. Kong-jin's pulse thundered. I've been looking for you. I know. For a week. I know that too. You're very difficult to find. She accepted her drink. That's rather the point. He studied her profile. The curve of her jawline. The way light caught the gold bracelet on her wrist. Why are you here? Because you wouldn't stop looking. And if I had stopped? She sipped whiskey slowly. Then I would have been disappointed. Something warm spread through his chest. Dangerous warmth. The kind that preceded terrible decisions. I don't even know your name. No. You don't. Will you tell me? She turned to face him fully. Why does it matter? Because I haven't stopped thinking about you, he admitted. Because something about that night, about you, hasn't let me go. Because I'm standing in a jazz club at midnight feeling more awake than I have in years, and I don't understand why. She was silent for a long moment. The singer reached a high note. Held it. Let it fade into applause. Zara, she finally said. Zara. He repeated it like a prayer. Like something sacred. It suits you. Does it? Mysterious. Beautiful. Impossible to forget. A hint of genuine amusement flickered across her features. You have a way with words, Seo Kong-jin. Call me Kong-jin. That would imply familiarity. Isn't that why you're here? Because you want to be familiar. She set down her glass. I'm here because curiosity has always been my weakness. And you, she looked at him directly, are the most reckless thing I've encountered in a very long time. Is that good? No. She stood. But I never claimed to make good decisions. She placed a card on the bar. Embossed. A phone number and nothing else. Tomorrow night. Midnight. Come alone. She walked away without looking back. Kang Jin watched her disappear into the crowd, his heart pounding like a man who'd just survived something he didn't understand. The card felt electric in his fingers. No name. No address. Just a number. He should throw it away. Should recognize that everything about this woman screamed danger. Instead he slipped it into his pocket. Finished his bourbon. Smiled. For the first time in years he felt genuinely alive. And that terrified him more than anything. The next evening Kang Jin prepared like a man going to war. His penthouse in Gangnam offered a closet worth more than most apartments. He selected carefully. Black suit. No tie. Expensive watch. Cologne that cost more per ounce than gold. His reflection stared back from full-length mirrors. Who was he dressing for? A woman who knew things about him she shouldn't know? Who made armed men freeze with a gesture? Who rode motorcycles through rain like she was running from something? He should be afraid. He felt only anticipation. At 11:45 he called the number on the card. It rang once. You're early. Her voice. Amused. I'm eager. Eager can be dangerous. I'm comfortable with danger. A soft sound. Almost a laugh. Address incoming. 15 minutes. The call ended. His phone buzzed. A location appeared. An industrial district in Mapo. Unexpected for a woman who carried herself like royalty. He pocketed his phone. His driver waited downstairs. The address I'm sending. And then take the rest of the night off. Sir, your security protocols. Tonight there are no protocols. The building was unmarked. Concrete. Industrial. Nothing indicated life inside. Kang Jin approached the only visible entrance. A steel door with a keypad. Before he could call again, the door clicked open. He entered. A freight elevator waited. He stepped inside. The doors closed automatically. He rose for what felt like forever. When it opened, his breath stopped. The space was extraordinary. An industrial loft transformed into something between museum and home. Nigerian sculptures. Korean ceramics. Abstract art that probably cost millions. And Zara. Standing near floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Han River. She wore silk. Dark blue. Simple. Hair loose around her shoulders for the first time. She looked different. Softer. More dangerous because of it. You came, she said. Did you think I wouldn't? I thought you might decide I wasn't worth the risk. He crossed the space slowly. Stopped 3 feet away. What exactly am I risking? Everything. The word hung between them. He should have asked for clarification. Should have demanded explanations. Should have behaved like a man with survival instincts. Instead he said, then I hope you're worth it. She studied him with those sharp eyes. Cataloging. Measuring. Drink. Whatever you're having. She moved to a bar cart. Poured whiskey for both of them. Handed him a glass without their fingers touching. Deliberate distance. You've been asking questions around Seoul, she said. About me. You knew I would. I knew you were foolish enough to try. I didn't know if you'd persist. And if I hadn't? She sipped her whiskey. Then this conversation wouldn't be happening. Tell me something true, he said. One true thing. I don't care what. She considered this. I haven't let anyone into this space in 3 years. The intimacy of that admission struck him harder than expected. Why me? I don't know yet. That bothers you? Yes. He stepped closer. Close enough to smell her perfume, something warm and complex. What else bothers you, Zara? Her name in his mouth sounded different. Intimate. She didn't step back. Standing here. Looking at me like I'm someone worth knowing. Aren't you? I'm someone worth fearing. Those aren't mutually exclusive. Her eyes flickered with something unreadable. You should leave. I won't. You don't know what I am. Then tell me. She was silent. The city glowed behind her through rain-streaked windows. A kingdom of lights she secretly controlled. I'm not a good person, Kang Jin. Neither am I. You're reckless and impulsive and too curious for your own survival. And yet you let me in. She had no response for that. Hours passed. They talked. Circled. revealed small truths wrapped in larger mysteries. He learned she'd grown up in Lagos before moving between continents. That she spoke 5 languages. That she'd been alone for so long she'd forgotten what connection felt like. She learned he was exhausted by shallow people. That his father's expectations crushed him. That beneath the arrogance lived a loneliness that matched her own. Near 3 a.m. they stood on her balcony watching the Han River reflect city lights. "This is a terrible idea," she said quietly. "I know. You don't." "Not really." He turned to face her. "Then help me understand." She was silent for a long moment. "There are things about my life that would change how you see me. Things I've done. Things I've ordered done. I operate in a world you've glimpsed from the outside but never touched. The men that night. In the suits. They worked for you." "Yes." "Who are you, Zara?" She met his eyes. "Someone who should send you home right now. Someone who should delete your number and let you live your reckless, privileged life without ever seeing me again." "But..." Her jaw tightened. "But I don't want to." The admission cost her something. He saw it in the way her shoulders tensed. The way her fingers tightened around her glass. "I don't scare you," she observed. "Why?" "Because you're the first person who's made me feel something real in years. Fear would be a small price." "You're a fool." "Probably. This will destroy one of us." "Maybe." He reached out slowly. Touched a strand of hair that had fallen across her face. Tucked it behind her ear. She didn't move. Didn't breathe. "Maybe destruction is what I've been waiting for," he said softly. She pulled back suddenly. "You need to leave." The shift was instant. Walls reconstructing. Coldness returning. "Zara. I'll contact you when I'm ready. Don't call. Don't search. Just wait." "I don't understand." "You will." She moved toward the interior, leaving him alone on the balcony. "My driver will take you home." "Your driver." She paused at the glass doors. "Did you think you arrived unobserved?" A faint smile crossed her lips. "Good night, Kongjin." The doors closed. The drive home passed in silence. His mind raced. Who was she? What did she control? Why had she seemed terrified by the simple act of him touching her hair? Dawn was breaking when he reached his penthouse. He didn't sleep. Just stood at his own windows watching the city wake, feeling like everything he thought he knew about his life had shifted. Even her name lingered in his mouth like something dangerous. And somewhere across the city she sat alone in the darkness of her empire, watching surveillance footage of him entering his building. Her hand trembled slightly. She closed the laptop. Poured another whiskey. Wondered what it would feel like to let someone in before the walls crushed her completely. Days passed without contact. Kongjin found himself unable to concentrate. Board meetings blurred. Conversations felt distant. Even the usual pleasures, expensive meals, beautiful women, luxurious parties, felt gray and meaningless. He checked his phone constantly. Nothing. He'd obeyed her instructions. No calls. No searching. Just waiting. It was agony. Jihoon noticed the change. "You're different," he observed during lunch at their usual restaurant. "Distracted. Almost human." "Thanks." Someone new. Kongjin stabbed at his food. "Maybe. She must be special to affect the great Seo Kongjin. I don't even know what she is." Jihoon's eyebrows rose. "That sounds dangerous." "Everything about her is dangerous. And yet you're waiting for her call like a lovesick teenager." Kongjin set down his chopsticks. "Have you ever met someone who made you feel like the life you built was just a waiting room? Like everything before them was preparation for something you didn't know you needed?" Jihoon was silent. "No," he finally admitted. "Neither had I." He pushed his plate away. "Until now." 1 week later. Kongjin attended a gallery opening in Cheongdam-dong. Contemporary art. Wealthy collectors. The usual pretentious atmosphere he normally avoided. He'd come because restlessness had become unbearable. The crowd parted. And there she was. Zara stood near a massive abstract painting, a glass of champagne in her hand, surrounded by men in expensive suits who hung on her every word. She looked different again. Elegant gown. Hair swept up. Diamonds at her throat. She looked like she belonged to this world. Or rather, like this world belonged to her. Their eyes met across the room. Something electric passed between them. She didn't acknowledge him. Continued her conversation. Laughed at something someone said. But her attention had shifted. He felt it. He moved to the bar. Ordered bourbon. Watched her reflection in the mirror behind the bottles. Minutes passed. Then she appeared beside him. You're here. I was invited. By whom? Does it matter? She accepted champagne from the bartender. You look miserable. I've been waiting for a phone call. I know. You know everything apparently. Not everything. Just enough. He turned to face her. Why are you here, Zara? Business. These collectors fund certain ventures. My presence ensures their continued generosity. And me. She sipped her champagne. You are an unexpected complication. You could have called. I could have. Why didn't you? She set down her glass. Because every day I didn't call was a day I thought I might find the strength to let you go. His chest tightened. And did you find that strength? She met his eyes directly. I'm standing beside you, aren't I? A wealthy collector approached, interrupting. Ms. Okafor. We were just discussing the Kim Wanky piece. He transformed instantly. Social smile. Gracious nod. Of course. Excuse me. She left without looking back. But as she walked away, her hand brushed his arm. Light. Brief. Deliberate. A message. He understood. The rest of the evening passed in calculated coincidences. They orbited each other. Never speaking directly. Always aware. A glance across the room. A pause near the same sculpture. Standing near enough during a presentation to feel each other's body heat. It was a dance. Intimate. Public. Dangerous. The gallery began emptying near midnight. Kongjin received a text from an unknown number. Back entrance. 5 minutes. He waited for. The alley behind the gallery was empty except for a black sedan. She leaned against it, waiting. You're early again. I'm learning. She opened the door. Get in. He didn't hesitate. The sedan pulled into traffic. A privacy screen separated them from the driver. They sat in silence for a long moment. You said you operate in a world I've never touched, he finally said. Show me. Her eyes met his. Are you certain? No. But show me anyway. The sedan took them to the industrial district again, but to a different location. A warehouse that hummed with activity. Guards nodded as Zara passed. Eyes avoided hers. Bodies straightened with respect. Inside, monitors displayed shipping routes. Inventory systems. Communication intercepts. Kongjin's mind struggled to process. This is. Why operation? He turned to face her. Yes. She watched his reaction carefully. I control significant portions of Asia's underground commerce. Weapons occasionally, though I've phased that out. Information always. Influence constantly. I inherited my father's network after his assassination and transformed it into something larger. The Black Viper. He went still. You've heard that name. Rumors. In certain circles. A ghost controlling Seoul's underworld. No one I know has ever met them. You've met them. He stared at her. This is. Too much. I know. She turned away. The car will take you home. Forget you were here. Forget me. Return to your life. Zara. This was a mistake. I should never have. Stop. He grabbed her arm. He went completely still. Behind them, guards shifted. Hands moved toward weapons. Let go, she said softly. No. My men will interpret this as a threat. Then explain to them that I'm not letting go until you look at me. Pause. She raised her hand. The guards relaxed. She turned slowly. Her eyes were different. Vulnerable in a way he'd never seen. You're afraid, he realized. I'm not afraid of anything. You're afraid of what I'll see when I know the truth. Her jaw tightened. And what do you see? He released her arm. Stepped closer. I see a woman who built an empire from grief. Who controls kingdoms from the shadows because the light was never safe enough. Who rides motorcycles at night because it's the only time she's free. His voice dropped. I see someone who let me into her world not because she trusts me, but because the loneliness was becoming unbearable. Tears gathered in her eyes. She blinked them away furiously. You should run. Probably. I can't protect you from what I am. I'm not asking you to. Then what are you asking? He took her face in his hands. Gently. Reverently. I'm asking you to let me stay. She searched his eyes for deception. Found none. You don't know what that means. Then teach me. A tear escaped. Slid down her cheek. He wiped it away with his thumb. I've spent my whole life surrounded by people who want something from me, he said. Power. Money. You're the first person who tried to push me away. Who told me the truth should make me run. He pressed his forehead to hers. That's exactly why I'm staying. In the control room's shadows, her most trusted men watched in stunned silence. Their boss, the Black Viper who had made grown men weep with a whispered threat, stood trembling in a stranger's arms. None of them moved. None of them dared. Because something fundamental had shifted. And they knew with the instincts of people who survived by reading danger, that nothing would ever be the same. Weeks passed. Their relationship existed in shadows. Secret meetings. Encrypted communications. Moments stolen between her empire's demands and his family's expectations. Kang Jin learned the contours of her world. The careful hierarchies. The constant surveillance. The way she managed violence without committing it directly. She learned to trust someone for the first time in years. To let herself laugh. To feel something besides calculated control. It was dangerous. It was inevitable. It was destroying them both in the best possible way. But empires don't pause for love. Park Dae-young, humiliated and desperate, had been making calls. Building alliances with those who shared his resentment. A woman leading them. A woman who had threatened his family? Unacceptable. Others felt the same. Old men who remembered her father. Young ambitious climbers who saw opportunity in her distraction. They watched her meet the heir. Watched surveillance footage of her laughing. Of her showing vulnerability. Weakness. She's compromised, Dae-young told the assembled conspirators. The Black Viper has a soft spot. And soft spots, he continued, can be exploited. Plans formed in secret. Kang Jin was leverage now. A pressure point in Zara's impenetrable armor. They would use him. Or eliminate him. Either way the Black Viper would fall. And none of them noticed the young man in the corner recording everything. A man loyal to Young Sumin. A man whose information would reach Zara within hours. She received the intelligence at 3 a.m. Alone in her quarters she listened to recordings of men planning to destroy everything she'd built. Planning to use Kang Jin against her. Planning to hurt him because of her. Her hands shook. Not from fear. From rage. Cold absolute rage. She had one choice. Push him away completely. Protect him by destroying what they'd built. Or pull him closer. Make him part of her world completely. Protect him with everything she had. Neither option was safe. But only one felt survivable. She called him at 4 a.m. Zara? What's wrong? Come to the warehouse. Now. What's happening? Just come. Please. He never said please. He was there in 20 minutes. Found her pacing. Guards on high alert. Screens displaying surveillance footage of men's faces he didn't recognize. Tell me, he demanded. He stopped pacing. Faced him. There's a conspiracy. Against me. They want to use you as leverage. His blood went cold. Use me how? Capture. Torture. Death. Whatever serves their purposes. Because of us? Because I let you get close. Because they see you as weakness. He processed this. What do we do? There is no we. This is my world. My fight. Zara. I should have protected you from this. Should have pushed harder when there was still time. Should have. Stop. He crossed the room. Took her hands. I'm not walking away. Whatever this is, whatever it costs, I'm not leaving. You could die. Everyone dies eventually. This isn't a joke. I know. He squeezed her hands. I've lived my entire life avoiding anything real. Anything that might hurt. And then I met you and everything changed. His voice cracked. Don't ask me to go back to being that person. Please. She stared at him. This reckless, foolish, beautiful man who should have run the moment he understood what she was. Who stayed anyway. Who chose her anyway. They will try to kill you, she whispered. Then protect me. I don't know if I can. You're the Black Viper. You control kingdoms. You make powerful men weep. He touched her face. If anyone can keep me alive, it's you. Something broke inside her. Some final wall she hadn't even known existed. She pulled him close. Held him like the world was ending. Because for her it might be. I won't let them touch you, she said into his shoulder. I will burn everything down first. He believed her. That should have terrified him. Instead it felt like coming home. Kang Jin had just promised to stay in a world that wanted him dead. Zara had just admitted she would destroy everything to protect him. Conspirators were planning their attack. And somewhere in the shadows, loyalties were about to be tested in ways neither of them could imagine. What happens when the Black Viper faces enemies who know her only weakness? Can love survive in a world built on blood and betrayal? And what price will both of them pay for choosing each other? The warehouse became a war room. Zara's most trusted lieutenants gathered in tense silence. Screens displayed surveillance footage, financial records, communication intercepts. Every conspirator's face glowed on monitors like targets waiting to be eliminated. Kang Jin stood beside her, still processing the magnitude of what he'd entered. 12 confirmed conspirators, Yong Sumin reported. Park Dae-young leads them. They've secured funding from external sources, likely the Matsuda syndicate in Osaka. Japanese involvement. Zara's voice was ice. Bold. They're desperate. And desperation makes people dangerous. He studied the faces on screen. Men she had trusted. Men who had served her father. Men who now plotted her destruction. Timeline. Our intelligence suggests 72 hours. They're planning to strike during the shipping conference in Busan. Public venue. Witnesses. Clever. They believe you'll be vulnerable. Distracted. Her jaw tightened. They believe wrong. She turned to face her assembled team. 12 people who had proven loyalty through years of service. 12 people she would trust with her life. And now with his life too. New protocols effective immediately, she announced. Seo Kang Jin is under full protection. Shadow teams. Rotating surveillance. Nothing touches him without my direct authorization. The lieutenants exchanged glances. Kang Jin shifted uncomfortably. I don't need. Yes. You do. Her voice left no room for argument. You are now part of this organization's most protected assets. My enemies will attempt to use you against me. They will fail. Because I will ensure they never get close enough to try. She met his eyes. Do you understand? He understood. He was no longer just her lover. He was her vulnerability. And she would guard that vulnerability with everything she had. Later, alone in her private quarters, the mask cracked. She stood before the window, hands trembling, watching city lights blur through unshed tears. Kang Jin approached slowly. Talk to me. I've put you in danger. I put myself here. Because I let you. She turned to face him. Every person who has ever loved me has suffered. My mother died of heartbreak after my father's assassination. My brother was murdered trying to avenge him. Everyone I've cared for. Her voice broke. Becomes a target. He closed the distance between them. Then I'll be the hardest target they've ever faced. You don't understand. I understand that you've been alone for too long. I understand that isolation feels safer than connection. I understand because I've lived the same way. He took her hands. Different prisons. Same loneliness. She searched his eyes. You should hate me for this. I could never hate you. You should at least resent me. Zara. He lifted her hands to his lips. I choose you. Every part of you. The darkness included. That night they didn't sleep. They talked until dawn painted the sky pink and gold. About their childhoods. About the people who shaped them. About the wounds that never fully healed. She told him about finding her father's body. About the smell of blood that still haunted her dreams. About building an empire from grief because the alternative was drowning in it. He told her about his mother's coldness. About a father who saw him only as an asset. About searching for meaning in pleasures that left him emptier each time. Two broken people recognizing their pieces fit together. It wasn't healing. Not yet. But it was the beginning. The next 48 hours passed in controlled chaos. Zara coordinated responses while managing her legitimate business operations. The shipping conference couldn't be cancelled. It would signal weakness. Instead she would attend. And she would bring him. Absolutely not, Sumin protested. It's exactly what they want. It's what they expect us to avoid. Predictability is death. But bringing him signals that I'm not afraid. That he's not a weakness but a choice. They expect me to hide him. Instead, I'll make him visible. Her eyes were cold with calculation. Force them to improvise. Improvisation creates mistakes. Kongjin watched her transform. In planning sessions she was cold steel. Every word precise. Every decision calculated. Men twice her age deferred without hesitation. This was the Black Viper. The woman who controlled empires. The woman who made powerful men weep. But in stolen moments, a brush of fingers, a glance across the room, a whispered word when no one watched, the other Zara emerged. Vulnerable. Tender. Terrified beneath the composure. He loved both versions. Perhaps that was the most dangerous thing of all. The shipping conference took place in a luxury hotel overlooking Busan's harbor. Crystal chandeliers. Imported marble. The smell of money and ambition. Zara arrived in a gown that commanded attention. Black silk. Diamonds at her throat. Hair swept up to reveal the elegant line of her neck. Kongjin walked beside her in a tailored tuxedo. Every eye in the room turned. Whispers spread like fire. Is that Co Kongjin? With the Okafor woman? I thought she never appeared publicly with anyone. What does this mean? It meant war. But war fought with appearances instead of weapons. Park Dae-young watched from across the ballroom. His face remained composed, but his hands trembled slightly around his champagne glass. She wasn't supposed to be here. She definitely wasn't supposed to bring him. She knows, whispered his closest ally. She has to know. She suspects. That's different. Look at her. She's daring us to act. Dae-young studied Zara across the crowded room. She laughed at something Kongjin said, actually laughed, looking more human than he'd ever seen her. She's distracted, he decided. The plan proceeds. Tonight. Tonight. Zara felt the weight of observation throughout the evening. She knew which men belonged to the conspiracy. Knew their positions in the room. Knew their capabilities and limitations. But she performed obliviousness perfectly. Dancing with Kongjin under crystal chandeliers. Accepting champagne from servers she'd personally vetted. Making small talk with business associates who had no idea about the empire beneath her legitimate investments. You're remarkable, Kongjin murmured during a slow dance. Because I can smile while people plot my death? Because you make it look effortless. She pulled back slightly to meet his eyes. Nothing about this is effortless. Especially keeping you safe. The tension broke at precisely 10:47 p.m. Zara noticed the shift immediately. Certain men moving toward exits. Others positioning themselves near key doorways. She tightened her grip on Kongjin's arm. Stay close. What's happening? They're moving. Her lieutenant materialized beside them. Back exit is compromised. Kitchen route clear. No. She scanned the room with predator eyes. We're not running. Ma'am. Running confirms fear. Fear invites pursuit. She straightened her spine. We stay. And we show them exactly what happens when you threaten the Black Viper. What happened next unfolded with surgical precision. Her people moved through the crowd like ghosts. Quiet words in ears. Subtle pressure on arms. Conspirators found themselves isolated, surrounded, helpless. No violence. No scenes. Just the sudden, horrifying realization that they had miscalculated everything. Park Dae-young found himself in a storage room with 4 of Zara's most dangerous operatives blocking every exit. The door opened. She entered alone. Dae-young. Her voice echoed in the confined space. We need to talk. Ms. Okafor. You thought tonight would be different. You thought I would come here distracted. Vulnerable. Easy to trap. She circled him slowly. You thought my feelings for Co Kongjin made me weak. He said nothing. His face was gray with fear. You were wrong. She stopped directly in front of him. My feelings for him don't make me weak. They remind me what I'm protecting. And for that, her voice dropped to a whisper. I should almost thank you. What happens now? His voice cracked. That depends entirely on you. I'll tell you everything. Every name. Every plan. Every external connection. You will. Not because you want to, but because the alternative is significantly worse. He studied his face with cold calculation. Your children. Your wife. Everything you tried to protect by betraying me. They live or die based on what happens in the next 5 minutes. Tears streamed down his face. Please. Name Steung. Now. He told her everything. The conference ended without incident. To the outside world, it appeared like any other successful industry gathering. Deals discussed. Connections made. Champagne consumed. No one knew that a conspiracy had been dismantled between appetizers and dessert. Zara's car idled at the hotel's private exit. Kang Jin climbed in beside her, adrenaline still coursing through his veins. That was necessary. I was going to say impressive. She turned to look at him. Exhaustion lined her features beneath the makeup. You're not disturbed? Should I be? I just destroyed 12 men's lives without raising my voice. Their families will suffer. Their careers will end. Some of them will likely not survive the consequences. She searched his face for judgment. And you find that impressive? He considered his response carefully. I find it terrifying. I find you terrifying. But I also understand that those men would have killed both of us without hesitation. He took her hand. I'm not naive about what you are, Zara. I just choose you anyway. Something in her eyes softened. You shouldn't. Probably not. He kissed her knuckles. But I do. The aftermath required careful management. External allies of the conspiracy needed addressing. The Matsuda syndicate in Osaka had to understand that their investment had failed spectacularly. Zara handled everything with cold efficiency. But Kang Jin noticed the toll it took. The way she stopped eating when stressed. The nightmares that made her thrash and whisper names he didn't recognize. The moments when she disappeared into herself, becoming unreachable even when he held her. She was drowning in her own empire. And he didn't know how to help her breathe. 3 weeks after Busan, the Japanese situation escalated. Matsuda Kenji, head of the Osaka syndicate, demanded a meeting. His investment in the failed coup had cost him face, a currency more valuable than money in his world. Zara received the request with cold calculation. He wants reparations or blood, Suman analyzed. The meeting is a trap either way. He wants to measure me in person. Determine whether I'm worth the trouble of opposing. And if he decides you are? Then we have war with Osaka. Something I've worked years to avoid. Kang Jin found her on the balcony that night, staring at nothing. You're going to meet him. I have to. Let me come. She turned sharply. Absolutely not. Zara. Japan is outside my territory. Outside my protection. If something happens there, then I'll be beside you when it does. His jaw set with determination. I'm tired of being protected. I want to be useful. You're useful. You're the only thing in my life that feels real. Then let me help protect that. Let me stand beside you instead of behind you. She studied his face in the moonlight. This stubborn, reckless, beautiful man who had upended everything she knew about herself. If you die because of me, I won't. You can't promise that. Neither can you. None of us can. But that's not a reason to hide from living. He stepped closer. I spent 33 years avoiding anything that mattered. And then you appeared beside a motorcycle in the rain. And suddenly everything mattered. His voice cracked. Don't ask me to go back to not caring. Please. They flew to Osaka together. Zara's security detail tripled. Every contingency planned. Every exit mapped. The meeting would take place in a traditional restaurant, neutral territory selected by Matsuda. Mats. Paper screens. The aesthetic of peace concealing the potential for violence. Remember, she instructed Kang Jin during the flight. You observe only. Say nothing unless directly addressed. Show no emotion regardless of what's said. I understand. These men read weakness like predators scent blood. One wrong expression. He touched her face gently. I understand, Zara. I won't fail you. He wanted to believe him. Needed to believe him. Matsuda Kenji was 73 years old with eyes like cold stones. He knelt at the head of the room, surrounded by lieutenants who watched Zara's entrance with calculating stillness. She knelt across from him, movement graceful despite the tension screaming through her nerves. Kang Jin positioned himself slightly behind her. Observer. Support. Living proof that she had something to lose. Okafor-san. Matsuda's voice rasped with age. You honor me with your presence. Matsuda-san. The honor is mine. Formalities. Rituals. Words that meant nothing in everything. The real conversation would happen beneath them. Your recent actions in Seoul have disturbed the balance, Matsuda observed. 12 men eliminated. Networks disrupted. My investment, wasted. Your investment was misplaced. Those men were traitors who mistook my restraint for weakness. And yet they felt confident enough to try. Confidence born from your support. The accusation hung in the air. Matsuda's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Careful, Okafor-san. I'm always careful. That's why I'm still alive while those who underestimate me are not. The tension stretched like a wire about to snap. You've brought someone, Matsuda observed, his attention shifting to Kongjin. Seo Kongjin. Son of Seo Myung-ho. Interesting choice. He is not your concern. Everything is my concern when I'm considering whether to make war. Matsuda studied Kongjin with surgical precision. Does he know what you are? What you've done? How many bodies fertilize your empire's foundations? He knows. And he stays anyway? He stays. Matsuda's lips curled, not quite a smile. Love. How unexpected from the Black Viper. Is that what this meeting is about? Zara's voice remained perfectly controlled. Discussing my personal life? It's about understanding whether you've become vulnerable enough to exploit or dangerous enough to respect. He leaned forward slightly. Which are you, Okafor-san? The room held its breath. Zara met his gaze without flinching. I am exactly what I have always been. Someone who rewards loyalty and destroys betrayal. Someone who avoids unnecessary conflict but never runs from necessary war. Someone who builds rather than simply takes. Her voice dropped. The question isn't whether I'm dangerous. The question is whether you want to discover exactly how dangerous. Silence filled the space between them. Then unexpectedly Matsuda laughed. Oh, genuine. Almost approving. Your father would be proud. My father taught me everything I know. He did. I remember him well. We did business together before circumstances changed. His expression sobered. I will not make war with you, Okafor-san. The investment was foolish, I see that now. Those men saw weakness where there was only patience. He bowed slightly. Consider the matter closed. The flight back to Seoul felt like resurrection. Kongjin watched Zara slowly release tension she'd carried for weeks. Her shoulders lowered. Her breathing deepened. The furrow between her brows smoothed. You were magnificent, he said quietly. I was terrified. You didn't show it. That's the job. Never let them see what might break you. She turned to look at him. You did well. Said nothing. Showed nothing. Even when he mentioned my father's bodies. I wanted to knock his teeth down his throat. A ghost of a smile crossed her lips. I know. I saw your jaw clench. But you controlled it. I'm learning, he said. This world you live in. The rules. The masks. You shouldn't have to learn. But I want to. Because it's your world. And I want to be in it. She was quiet for a long moment. I've never had someone choose this, she finally admitted. Most people run when they understand. The ones who stay usually want something. Power, protection, access. But you. I just want you. Why? The question was so vulnerable it hurt. Because you see me. Not the heir. Not the money. Not the potential. Just me. She took his hand. I've spent 10 years becoming untouchable. Building walls so high no one could reach me. Convincing myself that isolation was strength. Her thumb traced circles on his palm. And then you appeared. Reckless and curious and absolutely refusing to be intimidated. And something in those walls cracked. Good. It terrifies me. I know. He lifted their joined hands, pressed them against his heart. It terrifies me too. But I'd rather be terrified with you than safe without you. Seoul welcomed them back with rain. The city glittered through water-streaked windows as their car navigated familiar streets. Everything looked the same but nothing felt the same. They had survived something together. Built something neither had expected. What happens now? Kongjin asked. Now we deal with the remaining complications. The external connections are addressed. The internal conspiracy is dismantled. But there's still your family. His stomach tightened. Pai family. You've been increasingly absent from board meetings. Your father has noticed. He's been asking questions. Let him ask. Kongjin. I know. I can't hide forever. But not yet. Please. She didn't press. But they both knew the collision was coming. Seo Myung-ho was not a man who tolerated mysteries. His son's disappearances, his new associates, the whispered rumors reaching corporate boardrooms, all would demand explanation eventually. And when that explanation emerged, consequences would follow. Kongjin's phone buzzed. A text from his father. Dinner. Tomorrow. 7 p.m. Non-negotiable. He showed Zara the screen. Her expression remained neutral, but her grip on his hand tightened. It's time, she said. Not yet. Soon. He had no argument. The dinner took place in his father's private dining room. Seo Myung-ho was 61 years old with silver hair and eyes that had never known warmth. He sat at the head of a table designed to intimidate, wine glass positioned precisely, napkin folded with military precision. You've been absent, he observed as Kongjin took his seat. I've been busy. With what? Your nightclub investments are neglected. Your board responsibilities abandoned. Your assistants field questions they can't answer. His father's voice was controlled ice. Explain. Kongjin hesitated. He could lie. Invent excuses. Buy more time. But lies felt wrong now. After everything. I've met someone. Someone. His father's tone dripped contempt. Another model? Another actress? Another temporary distraction. Someone different. Different how? He stopped. How did he explain Zara? Complicated. Complicated. His father set down his wine glass deliberately. Your entire life is complicated. Your existence is complicated. What makes this woman worth abandoning your responsibilities? Because she sees me as more than your heir. The words escaped before he could stop them. His father went still. Excuse me. You've never seen me as a person. Just an asset. A disappointing asset who refuses to behave. Every conversation we have centers on obligations and expectations and the family name. His voice cracked. She looks at me and sees someone worth knowing. Not for my money or my connections or my potential. Just me. Romantic delusions, his father dismissed. You're a child playing at love while your legacy crumbles. I'm 33 years old. And acting like a teenager in heat. Kongjin's hands clenched beneath the table. You don't know anything about her. I know she's distracting you from what matters. Maybe what matters has changed. His father stood abruptly. Paced toward the windows overlooking Seoul's skyline. I've indulged your rebellions for years. The clubs. The women. The embarrassing tabloid appearances. I told myself you would mature. That eventually responsibility would find you. He turned. But this ends now. You don't get to decide. I get to decide everything. This company. This family. This legacy. All of it flows through my decisions. And I am deciding that whoever this woman is, she ends. No. The word came out harder than intended. His father's eyes narrowed. No. I won't end it. Not for you. Not for the company. Not for anything. Then I'll end it myself. Kongjin's blood went cold. What does that mean? It means I have resources you can't imagine. Ways of making problems disappear. If you won't protect the family name, I will. If you touch her. You'll what? His father's contempt was palpable. Threaten me? Fight me? You've never had the spine for real conflict. That's why you've wasted your life on parties and temporary women. No consequences. No stakes. No courage. He sat back down. Bring her to dinner next week. Let me meet this person worth destroying your future for. Then we'll discuss terms. Terms. Everyone has a price. I'll find hers. Kongjin stared at his father. And realized with crystalline clarity that he had never truly known this man at all. He told Zara everything. Her expression remained controlled as he recounted the conversation. The threats. The casual cruelty. The assumption that she could be bought. When he finished, she was silent for a long moment. He'll investigate me, she finally said. Yes. He'll find things. Not the full truth, that's buried too deep, but enough to raise questions. I know. This could expose everything I've built. Force me into the open. Create vulnerabilities I've spent years eliminating. Her voice was too calm. Zara. I should let you go. What? Your father is powerful. Connected. If he decides I'm a threat to his family, he'll use every resource available. And while I could fight him, possibly win, the cost would be astronomical. For both of us. She turned away. The logical move is separation. Clean break. Protect what we've each built. The logical move. Yes. He crossed the room. Turned her to face him. And what about the illogical move? The one where we face this together? Where we don't let fear dictate our choices. Her eyes glistened. That move leads to war. Maybe war is worth it. You don't know what you're saying. I know exactly what I'm saying. I spent my entire life avoiding conflict. Choosing comfort over conviction. Letting other people decide what I should want. His hands cupped her face. And then you showed me what it feels like to want something worth fighting for. Kongjin. I love you. The words fell between them like stones into still water. I love you and I'm not running. Not from my father. Not from your world. Not from anything. Because running means losing you, and that's the only outcome I can't survive. She stared at him. This man who had stumbled into her life on a rainy night. Who had refused every opportunity to escape. Who stood before her now, offering everything. You love me, she repeated. Completely. Even knowing what I am? Because of what you are. A tear escaped. She wiped it away furiously. I don't deserve this. You deserve everything. You just forgot how to believe it. He laughed, watery, broken, real. You're impossible. You love me anyway. Silence. Then quietly, I love you anyway. The dinner with his father happened 5 days later. Zara arrived in elegant simplicity, black dress, minimal jewelry, hair loose around her shoulders. Nothing threatening. Nothing that screamed criminal mastermind. Seo Myung-ho studied her like an acquisition target. Ms. Okafor. Nigerian, I understand. Yes. Your English is impeccable. Your Korean even more so. Languages have always come easily. And what do you do, Ms. Okafor? Investments. Keeping. Some motorsport involvement. His eyes narrowed. Vague. Deliberately. Something flickered in his expression. Not approval, he didn't approve of anything but interest. My son tells me you've captured his attention. Your son captured mine first. How so? She met his gaze directly. He approached me without fear. Without calculation. Without wanting anything except conversation. That's rare in my experience. Rare. Most people approach with agendas. Kongjin approached with curiosity. It was refreshing. Refreshing enough to risk everything he stands to inherit? That's his choice to make. Not mine. The dinner progressed with the precision of a chess match. Seo Myung-ho probed. Zara deflected. Kongjin watched the two most important people in his life circle each other like predators negotiating territory. By dessert something had shifted. His father wasn't warmer, he was never warm, but the aggressive contempt had faded into something more calculating. You're not what I expected, he admitted. I rarely am. My son has made many mistakes with women. You don't seem like a mistake. Thank you. That wasn't a compliment. Mistakes are manageable. You appear to be something more permanent. Is that a problem? His father considered the question. My son has never cared about consequences. Never fought for anything. Never demonstrated conviction worth respecting. He glanced at Kongjin. Until now, apparently. Father. I'm not finished. He returned his attention to Zara. Whatever you've done to him, you've created change I couldn't achieve in 33 years. Whether that change benefits or destroys this family remains to be seen. He stood, signaling the dinner's end. But I will be watching Ms. Okafor. Very closely. The car ride home was silent. Kongjin's hand found hers in the darkness. Held on like a drowning man gripping a lifeline. That went better than expected, he finally said. He's dangerous. He's my father. Those aren't mutually exclusive. She turned to look at him. He'll investigate me thoroughly now. Whatever he finds will determine his next move. What will he find? Surface layers. Legitimate businesses. Philanthropic connections. Nothing that points to the deeper truth. And if he digs deeper? Then we'll handle it. Months passed. Their relationship grew roots despite the dangers surrounding it. Zara gradually introduced Kongjin to trusted members of her organization. He learned faces, names, the complex hierarchies that kept her empire functioning. He also learned to recognize threats. The way certain conversations shifted when he entered rooms. The careful distance maintained by subordinates who didn't yet know whether to treat him as asset or liability. Slowly he earned their respect. Not through displays of power, he had none in this world, but through loyalty. Through refusing to run. Through loving their boss despite knowing exactly who she was. The seasons changed. Summer heat gave way to autumn gold. Rain returned to Seoul with increasing frequency. On one such rainy night, Zara took her motorcycle out alone. A rare indulgence. Usually she was surrounded by security, but tonight she needed to breathe. The city blurred past. Neon lights. Empty streets. The feeling of freedom that only speed provided. She rode to the spot where they'd first met. Parked in the same place. Removed her helmet. Rain soaked her hair immediately. She smiled. For the first time in years, the future felt like something to anticipate rather than survive. She didn't notice the van until too late. It appeared from an alley, blocking her exit. Doors slid open. Armed men emerged. She calculated options instantly. Fight or flight. Weapon access. Escape routes. Too many. Too fast. Too coordinated. Something sharp stung her neck. Tranquilizer. The world tilted. Secure her. We have 15 minutes before her people notice. Darkness swallowed everything. Kongjin felt the absence before he received confirmation. Something in his chest tightened. Wrong. Something was wrong. His phone rang. Sumin's voice was controlled panic. She's been taken. What? Her motorcycle was found abandoned. Signs of struggle. We're analyzing surveillance now. Who has her? Pause. We're still determining. Who has her? Another pause. Then quietly, your father. The world stopped. My father. His security contractors. We intercepted communication fragments. He found something in his investigation. Something that made him decide she was a threat requiring elimination. Kongjin's mind reeled. His father. His own father had taken the woman he loved. Where? We're tracking. His private facility outside Gangnam. She'll be there within hours. Send everything to my phone. Every detail. Every access point. What are you planning? To get her back. You can't assault a private facility alone. Then come with me. Or don't. But I'm going. The drive to Gangnam took 3 hours. 3 hours of rain-slicked highways. Of speed limits ignored. Of phone calls coordinating an impossible rescue. Sumin assembled a team. 8 of Zara's most capable operatives. Loyal beyond question. Ready to die for their leader. Kongjin led them. He didn't have training. Didn't have experience. Didn't have any qualification for what was about to happen except love and desperation. Sometimes that was enough. The facility was isolated. Surrounded by forest. Fencing that looked agricultural but concealed sensors and cameras. Security is lighter than expected, Sumin observed. He didn't anticipate a rapid response. He didn't anticipate me. Kongjin. This is my responsibility. My father. My failure to see what he was capable of. He checked the weapons Sumin had provided. A handgun he barely knew how to use. Get me inside. I'll handle the rest. Handle how? By talking to him. By making him understand that if he hurts her, he loses his son forever. And despite everything, that still matters to him. You're certain? No. But I'm going anyway. The infiltration went smoothly. Sumin's team disabled external security while Kongjin approached the main building. His heart hammered against his ribs. Every shadow held potential death. But he kept moving. For her. Inside, the facility was surprisingly normal. Corporate architecture. Conference rooms. The aesthetic of legitimate business concealing something darker. He found his father in a secure wing, standing before a reinforced door. Waiting. You came faster than expected. His father's voice carried no surprise. No fear. Where is she? Contained. Unharmed. For now. Let her go. That depends on you. Kang Jin's hands trembled around the gun. What do you want? I want my son back. The heir I raised. Not this lovesick fool willing to destroy everything for a woman who runs criminal empires. You know. I know everything. The Black Viper. The Okafor Syndicate. The networks she controls. His father's eyes were cold. Did you really think I wouldn't find out? And you took her. Kidnapped her. Because of business concerns. Because she's corrupted you beyond recovery. Because every moment you spend with her pulls you further from your legacy. Because I refuse to watch the CO name become entangled with international organized crime. So you became a kidnapper instead? His father's jaw tightened. I'm protecting this family. By destroying what I love. By removing the threat. Kang Jin raised the gun. His father didn't flinch. You won't shoot me. You don't know that. I know you, son. Better than you know yourself. You don't have the spine for violence. Kang Jin's hand shook. His father was right. He'd never hurt anyone in his life. The gun felt foreign. Wrong. But Zara was behind that door. And he would do whatever was necessary. Let me see her. No. Father. She's already dead to you. Accept that. Return to Seoul. Resume your responsibilities. In time you'll forget this madness. I will never forget her. You will. They always do. Kang Jin stared at the man who had raised him. Who had shaped him. Who had never once seen him as anything but an extension of his own ambitions. No, he said. I won't. He didn't shoot his father. Instead he stepped forward and pressed the gun against his own temple. His father's composure cracked. What are you doing? Demonstrating conviction. Put that down. Open the door. Let her go. Or watch me end the CO legacy right here. You're bluffing. Am I? Kang Jin's voice was steady now. Certain. You said I never fought for anything. Never demonstrated conviction. Here's your conviction, father. Here's everything you spent my life demanding. His finger tightened on the trigger. Choose. Seconds stretched into eternity. His father's face cycled through expressions. Shock, calculation, fear. Before settling on something unexpected. Defeat. Stand down, he ordered security personnel behind him. Open the door. The reinforced barrier slid open. Zara stood inside, wrists bound but otherwise unharmed. Her eyes found his immediately. Relief and terror and love flooded her features. Kang Jin. He lowered the gun. Crossed to her. Cut her bindings with a knife from his pocket. I told you I wasn't leaving. She touched his face like she couldn't believe he was real. You reckless, beautiful fool. They walked out together. His father watched in silence. Whatever power he'd held, over his son, over this situation, had evaporated. At the facility's exit, Kang Jin stopped. If you ever threaten her again, he said without turning, I will burn your legacy to ash myself. I am my father's son after all. He took Zara's hand. They disappeared into the rain. The aftermath was complicated. Seo Myung-ho withdrew from direct confrontation, though surveillance continued. The balance of power had shifted. His son had demonstrated a willingness to die rather than abandon the woman he loved. That created consequences the elder Seo hadn't anticipated. Board members noticed Kang Jin's new resolve. His focus. His unexpected capacity for leadership. Within months, power began flowing toward the son who had finally found something worth fighting for. Zara watched the transformation with quiet pride. The reckless playboy was becoming something else. Someone who commanded respect. Someone who balanced both worlds, legitimate and shadow, with increasing skill. He would never fully belong to her empire. But he had become its most valuable ally. Its most trusted confidant. Its heart. 1 year after the rainy night where they met, they returned to that same street. The neons still glowed. The rain still fell. The motorcycle still waited. But everything had changed. I should have run that night, she said. But you didn't. I should have pushed harder when you kept searching for me. But you didn't. She turned to face him. I should have protected us both from this. He touched her face. This is worth protecting. This is worth every danger. Every complication. Every war we've survived. She leaned into his hand. I love you. I know. I want to spend forever terrifying you. He smiled. Forever sounds perfect. From the shadows her security team watched without approaching. They had learned over the past year that these moments were sacred. That the Black Viper had found something more valuable than empires. That love had conquered everything fear had built. The wedding happened at dawn. A private ceremony on the rooftop of her industrial headquarters. The Han River glowed with sunrise. A minister who asked no questions performed the service. Witnesses included her most trusted lieutenants and his sole true friend, Ji-hoon, who had taken months to accept the impossible truth about who Kang Jin loved. The vows were simple. Traditional in some ways. Unique in others. She promised to protect him with everything she commanded. He promised to stand beside her regardless of what that commanded. You may kiss your wife. Kang Jin touched her face. Ready to be married to the most dangerous woman in Asia? Ready to be married to the most reckless man I've ever met. Their lips met. Behind them hardened criminals wiped away tears they'd deny later. The sun rose higher. The empire continued. But at its center now, where cold calculation had once lived alone, something warmer burned. Something worth building worlds around. 5 years later. The Black Viper's empire had evolved. Fewer shadows. More legitimate ventures. The transformation Zara had always wanted but never found the courage to pursue. Kang Jin had provided that courage. His presence reminded her daily that empires meant nothing without someone to share them with. They had 2 children now. A daughter with her mother's sharp eyes. A son with his father's reckless smile. Both too young to understand the world they'd been born into. Both loved beyond measure. Zara stood on the balcony of their penthouse, watching Seoul glitter beneath a clear night sky. Behind her, Kang Jin emerged with 2 glasses of whiskey. The kids are asleep. Finally. He joined her at the railing. Handed her a glass. Do you ever regret it? Regret what? That night. Letting me flirt with you instead of riding away. She considered the question. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I had. And I realized that woman, the one who almost rode away, she was running from the very thing she needed most. She turned to face him. You found me when I didn't know I was lost. You stayed when everything I am should have made you run. You loved me when I'd forgotten how to let myself be loved. Her voice caught. How could I ever regret that? He set down his glass. Drew her close. I was supposed to be your one-night story. The reckless billionaire who flirted with the wrong woman and learned his lesson. Instead you became my whole life. They stood together in comfortable silence. The city hummed below them. Cars moved like fireflies through distant streets. Somewhere a motorcycle engine growled, a sound that still made Zara's heart quicken. We should ride tonight, she said. The kids. Security can watch them. 2 hours. Just us. He smiled. You're still the most reckless thing I've ever encountered. And you love me anyway. Completely. She took his hand. Then let's go remember why. The motorcycle waited in the private garage. The same Ducati from that fateful night, maintained perfectly despite the years. Zara straddled it with practiced grace. Kang Jin climbed on behind her, arms wrapping around her waist. Hold on. Always. The engine roared to life. They burst into the night together, racing through streets that had witnessed their beginning, their struggles, their triumph. The neon lights blurred. The wind tasted like freedom. And somewhere in the darkness, the future stretched ahead of them, dangerous and beautiful and absolutely worth every risk. He had flirted with a hot, mysterious biker at night. He hadn't known who she really was. But he had stayed anyway. Fought anyway. Loved anyway. And in the end that made all the difference. Love doesn't ask permission. It doesn't follow rules or respect boundaries. It arrives like a stranger in the rain and refuses to leave until you're brave enough to let it stay. Zara and Kang Jin found each other in the darkness. 2 broken souls who fit together in ways neither expected. Their story reminds us that the greatest risk isn't loving someone dangerous. It's never finding someone worth the danger at all. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe. More cinematic dark romance stories are coming soon. Until next time, stay safe. And never be afraid to flirt with mystery.